Okay, so you're after a coding machine operator position. Huh? Sounds like a job with some seriously cool machinery.
It is.
These RoleCatcher resources you found seem really detailed.
Yeah.
Let's dive in and see if we can figure out how to totally ace that interview.
I'm really impressed with how in-depth these RoleCatcher guides are. It's wild, they don't just tell you what a coding machine operator does, but they also break down the whole job search process, even how to use AI to your advantage.
AI and coding machines. What a combo. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk about the job itself. Did you know that pretty much every manufactured thing we use involves coding? Everything from the car you drive to the phone in your pocket. It's all about those finishes that make them last. And you could be the one making sure those coatings are, like, perfect.
It's one of those roles that often flies under the radar, but it's totally essential in manufacturing. The career guide you gave me, it says that a coding machine operator isn't just pushing buttons all day.
Right.
They're responsible for the whole 9 yards. Setting up and calibrating complex machinery, monitoring the application, and making sure each product actually meets these really strict quality standards.
Just like being a precision artist, but with heavy-duty tools.
Yeah, exactly.
The guide also mentioned a bunch of different types of coating techniques like powder coating and electroplating. Do those ring a bell?
They're super important to understand, even for the interview. Powder coating, for example, it uses this dry powder that sticks to the product because of static electricity, and then they cure it with heat.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it creates this really durable and often decorative finish.
Yeah, okay.
Electroplating is a whole other thing that uses an electrical current to put a thin layer of metal onto a surface. Think of stuff like chrome car parts or like gold-plated jewelry.
It's crazy how much work goes into the finishes we see every single day. I know you're itching to get into those interview questions, so let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's tackle these strategically.
All right. First up, what inspired you to become a coding machine operator? This one seems simple on the surface, but I bet they're looking for more than just, I like machines.
Yeah, for sure. This question is all about showing them you're genuinely interested. So instead of some generic answer, really think about what drew you to this field in the first place. Is it the precision, the satisfaction of seeing a product transform? Maybe you're into the science behind making those durable finishes. Or maybe it's the problem-solving aspect you like.
That makes a lot of sense. Show them you've actually thought about this as a career path, and it really fits with what you like. Let's say you totally nail that first impression. What if they hit you with a follow-up question like, that's interesting, but what experience do you actually have with different coding techniques?
That is your cue to get specific. Mention any hands-on experience you've got with different coding types, even if it's from a past job or something you did for a school project. Describe the processes you've used, the materials you worked with, even the products you helped make.
So, like, if you messed around with powder coating in your garage or helped a friend refinish some old furniture, you should mention it.
100%. It shows you've got initiative and that you're down to learn.
I love that. All right, next question. What are the most important qualities a coding machine operator should have?
With this one, it's all about proving you get the demands of the role and that you've got what it takes to succeed.
So this is more about your personality than, like, technical stuff.
It's about striking a balance between the two. Highlighting things like super careful attention to detail is huge, because even a tiny coding flaw can wreck a whole batch, Same with being able to stay focused in a really fast-paced production environment. Don't forget about your problem-solving skills and being adaptable, because unexpected things pop up all the time. And obviously emphasize how committed you are to safety that's non-negotiable in any manufacturing setting.
Whoa. It's like being a detective, a juggler, and a safety inspector all in one. I'm curious, how does RoleCatcher fit into all of this interview prep? They have that cool AI feedback thingy, right?
Yeah, they do. It can be a game changer. Just imagine you can practice your answers to these questions and get feedback right away that's tailored to this specific job.
Oh, wow.
RoleCatcher's AI looks at what you say, figures out what you can improve, and even suggests ways to make your answers more, powerful.
It's like having your own interview coach right in your pocket.
Exactly. It helps you get your answers down pat, project confidence, and in the end, it ups your chances of actually getting the job.
That's wild. All right, back to those questions. This next one's pretty interesting. Can you describe a time you had to troubleshoot something that went wrong with a machine or a piece of equipment? That seems like it could be tough if you've never actually worked with coding machines before.
It doesn't have to be. The main thing is to show them how you solve problems. It doesn't really matter what the specific equipment was. Think of a time you had some technical issue. Maybe your car died on you, an appliance in your house went kaput, or your computer went haywire. Just walk them through the steps of how you figured out what was wrong, any resources you used, and how you fixed it in the end.
So even if you haven't used, like, big industrial coding machines before, you can still prove you've got the skills and the right mindset to handle technical curveball.
Yep, exactly. It's all about highlighting how you think and your ability to stay calm and resourceful even when things get a little crazy. Now, what do you think they are really looking for in an answer to this question?
They're looking for someone who can think on their feet.
Right.
Someone who doesn't just freeze up when something goes wrong.
Exactly. Someone who's willing to learn and not afraid to ask for help if they need it. Okay, moving on. This next question is all about quality control. How do you ensure the consistency and quality of codings? This is where that meticulous attention to detail we talked about really comes into play.
So, like, you got to be a hawk, but for tiny imperfections in metal finishes.
Exactly. Think about the steps you'd take during the whole coding process, from checking the raw materials and getting that machine calibrated just right, to keeping a close eye on the application and doing those final checks. Mention any specific quality control techniques, even if they're from a totally different field.
So if I'm, like, baking a cake and I'm super careful measuring every single ingredient, I'm on the right track.
You got it. It's about proving that you get how important precision is and that you have a system for making sure things are top-notch. Let's say you wow them with your quality control knowledge, right? They might throw a curveball and ask, can you tell me about a time you found a flaw in a product or process? What did you do about it?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's about taking ownership and showing them you take initiative.
100%. Pick a time when you spotted a mistake, even a small one, and then you did something to fix it. Explain how you noticed the problem, the steps you took to make it right, and what the end result was. It proves you're all about quality and that you're not afraid to learn from your mistakes.
Speaking of learning, let's talk about staying in the loop with this field, because things are always changing. The next question is, how do you stay up to date on new tech and advancements in coding?
This is where you really show them your passion for the industry and that you're all about constantly learning and growing. Mention any industry magazines you read, online forums you're part of, or even professional development courses you've taken or are thinking about taking. RoleCatcher's Career Compass tool can be a goldmine for this too.
Oh yeah, that's right. It can point you towards useful certifications and training opportunities that can really boost your career.
It's like having a roadmap for leveling up your career in the coding world. Okay, let's get back to those interview questions. This next one is pretty interesting. Describe a situation where you had to work well under pressure or meet a tight deadline.
Time management and staying cool as a cucumber under pressure, those are must-haves in any kind of manufacturing environment.
You got it. Think back to a time when things got a little crazy at work, like maybe there was a last-minute order change or a piece of equipment went on the fritz. Talk about how you figured out which tasks were most important, managed your time so you could get it all done, and stayed focused and level-headed to deliver the goods.
So, like, if I pulled an all-nighter to finish a project or managed to stay calm during a crazy shift, I should talk about that.
For sure. It shows them you can handle stress and still do great work even when things get a little intense. All right, let's shift gears a bit with this one. How do you make sure you and the people around you are working in a safe environment?
Okay, yeah, safety is absolutely crucial in any industrial setting, especially when you're dealing with heavy machinery and potentially dangerous materials.
Couldn't agree more. This is your chance to really drive home how seriously you take safety protocols and procedures. Mention that you know how to use personal protective equipment, how to spot hazards, and what to do in an emergency. If you have any stories about actually implementing safety measures or promoting a safety-first culture at a past job, definitely share those.
So it's not just about knowing the safety rules, it's about actually living and breathing them and making sure everyone else is too.
Exactly. Now, picture this. You've just nailed the safety question, and they come back with, can you tell me about a time you noticed something that could have been a safety hazard? What did you do?
Okay, this is where you show them you're proactive about safety and that you're a good communicator.
Exactly. Pick a time when you saw a potential danger, maybe a piece of equipment that wasn't quite right, a work area that was a mess, or someone doing something that just didn't seem safe. Explain how you handled it, who you told, and the steps you took to fix the problem. It shows them you're paying attention and that you're serious about keeping everyone safe.
Love it. It's all about being a team player and having each other's backs.
Absolutely. Okay, time for a question that often throws people off. What are you expecting in terms of salary?
Hmm. Yeah, this one can be a bit of a minefield. You got to know what you're worth, but you also don't want to scare them off with a number that's too high.
You're telling me. It's always smart to do some research and figure out the typical salary range for a coding machine operator in your area. Tools like RoleCatcher or those online salary calculators can be super helpful for that. That way you've got a realistic starting point. During the interview, it's usually best to avoid giving them a specific number unless they really push you for it. Instead, you can give them a range based on your experience and skills, or just say you're open to talking about salary more once you've learned more about the job and what it entails.
So it's all about being prepared, but also being a little flexible.
You got it. And remember, salary isn't everything. Benefits, work-life balance, opportunities to learn and grow, these are all super important things to think about too.
That's a really good point. It's all about finding that sweet spot where everything just feels right.
Exactly. All right. We've covered a ton of ground with these interview questions. Let's loop back to RoleCatcher for a sec, because I want to talk more about how their AI tools can give you a leg up during this whole process. You mentioned their AI feedback thing earlier, but there's another tool I think could be a game changer here, their resume builder.
Oh, yeah. Right. That can help tweak your resume so it really speaks to what they're looking for in a coding machine operator.
Exactly. It helps you showcase your skills and experience in a way that aligns with what employers want to see. You just put in your information, and the AI whips up this professional-looking resume that really highlights your relevant qualifications.
That's so clutch, especially if writing isn't really your forte.
You said it. It takes all the guesswork out of it and helps you put your best foot forward. Okay, now for another really important part of the interview. Asking good questions.
Yeah. It shouldn't be all about them grilling you, right? You're interviewing them too.
Yeah.
It's a two-way street.
100%. Asking smart questions shows them you're curious, you take initiative, and you're genuinely interested. Plus, it's a chance for you to get valuable intel that can help you decide if it's the right fit.
So, what kind of questions should I ask? What will impress these hiring managers?
Okay, so there are a few types of questions that work really well. First, you can ask about the company culture and values. Like you could say, can you tell me more about how the company supports employee training and development? Or how would you describe the work environment and the team dynamic here?
Those are great. It shows you're thinking beyond just the job title and that you care about the bigger picture. What else?
You can totally ask about the day-to-day stuff of the role, like the specific responsibilities and what they expect from you. For example, you'd be like, what kind of coding machines would I be using? Or what types of materials would I work with? Or you could even ask about production targets.
It shows them you're ready to roll up your sleeves and you want to know what to expect.
Exactly. And don't be shy about asking about growth opportunities within the company. You could say something like, what does the career path look like for someone in this role? Or, are there any opportunities to learn new skills or move around within the company?
It shows you're ambitious and you're looking for a real career, not just a temporary gig.
Bingo. Remember, asking good questions not only helps you make a better decision, but also helps them see what a great candidate you are.
So true. It's all about showing them you're genuinely interested and engaged. Speaking of which, I'm kind of curious what happens after the interview itself. Let's say you've followed all this amazing advice, nailed those questions, and you can tell they're impressed. What can you do to, I don't know, stay on their radar and up your chances of actually getting that job offer?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that. It's not over when you walk out the door. Sending a really good thank you note is super important.
Oh, you mean like an email where you thank them for their time and say you're still interested?
Yeah, exactly. But don't just send a generic, boring one. Make it personal. Mention something specific that you talked about during the interview. It'll help them remember you. And you can even use it to answer any follow-up questions they might have had. It shows them you're really paying attention and that you're serious about working there.
Oh, nice. Like that extra little touch that shows you're truly invested.
Exactly. And while you're waiting to hear back, don't just sit around twiddling your thumbs. Use that time to think back on the interview. Jot down any notes or thoughts you have. You could even connect with the people you interviewed with on LinkedIn or something.
Smart. So it's all about staying proactive, even after the interview's done. I like it.
Yep. Job hunting can be a marathon sometimes. But if you're prepared and you've got the right mindset, you can totally boost your chances of success.
For sure. And speaking of success, let's circle back to RoleCatcher's Career Compass tool one last time.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that it could be helpful for figuring out possible career paths in this whole coding industry. Can you tell me more about that?
Absolutely. Okay, so let's say you land this coding machine operator job, right? And you're crushing it. Career Compass can help you explore what you could do next, maybe even within the same company. It could be anything from becoming a team lead, a quality control whiz, a process engineer, even a production manager someday. Who knows?
So it's like a roadmap for your whole career, not just for finding your first job.
Exactly. It gives you this inside scoop on the skills, experience, and even certifications you might need if you want to hit those long-term goals in the coding and finishing world.
That is super valuable. It's like having your own personal career advisor.
Exactly.
Right.
It helps you make those big decisions about your career with confidence and go after the opportunities that really excite you.
I love it. Well, this has been an awesome deep dive into the world of coding machine operators.
Mm.
We've covered so much ground, from all the ins and outs of the job itself to totally rocking those interview questions to using those awesome AI-powered role catcher tools and even mapping out your future career. We've given you everything you need to succeed in this field.
For sure. Just remember, the key is to go into this whole thing with confidence, lots of energy, and be ready to keep learning new things. The world of manufacturing is always changing, and the people who are open to those changes and who are always looking for ways to be even better, those are the people who are going to thrive.
Beautifully said. So to everyone listening who's about to start this exciting journey, you got this. With the right preparation, a positive attitude, and a little help from some cool tech, you're on the road to success. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.